It's time to unravel the hidden mysteries of the universe. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. Time to transport your mind from the perverted matrix and connect with your higher consciousness into the world of the divine paradigm. The divine paradigm. And now your hosts of the Divine Paradigm, Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson.
Aloha and welcome to Divine Paradigm on KCOR Radio at kcorradio.com. And I'm your host, Janet Kira Lesson, with Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson, and our producer is Tina Marie. And today we're speaking with John Titor II. This is part 2. We had an earlier conversation with John. Let's see, that was on the 8th of August, and now we are going to pick up, and there's a lot of things happening in the environment, and we're going to talk about climate change and what's going on with the poor people down in Houston and other parts of Texas. What would you like to say before we bring on John?
Well, John is, for those of you who've been following it, is one of many people now who are really blowing the whistle on the program where people are cloned and regressed and work many, many years in a different time zone sometimes. And this whole business is just totally amazing and fascinating. But more and more people are coming out and interviewing us about being on the same kind of program that evidently John was a really big shot in. Right.
John was in the secret space program. That's one of the key words. Just Google it. He flew the TR-3B spacecraft, and he was in the 177th Time Travel Division. But without further ado, welcome to the show, John. Sorry for the late start. We had internet problems. But John, aloha. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you back. Tell us, what's it tie in? You know, you've been to the future. You've seen that we don't have a very promising future. You've tried to change timelines. You're working adamantly to warn humanity about this these earth changes and what our part is in this phenomenon and what we can do to change it. So what's your perspective on the current hurricane situation and Houston and other parts of Texas? And I guess it's, as you said earlier, it's heading, where is it heading? Tell us. Well, we're all ears.
It's going east now towards Louisiana, and it'll hit New Orleans if it's not already. And in Houston, they've had so much rain in a very short period of time that 2 levees broke. And these were old levees. But I mean, they were letting water out of these reservoirs, and the reservoirs just didn't hold. And the amount of damage that's being done there by this hurricane, I think that it'll be many, many times greater than Katrina or some of the other ones that we've had in the past, because we're having more and more events of severe weather. Here on the West Coast, Southern California, we are suffering with a heat wave like I have never seen before here. 111 degrees, 112 degrees. It's 116 degrees, I know, down in Palm Desert. But I've been in Palm Desert when it's been 126.
Oh, so, my gosh.
You know, like when it gets that hot, the problem is your animals, horses that I have at Star Dancer Ranch. I mean, the problem is they go through 55 gallons of water a day per horse, 50 horses. You're talking a lot of water. And then the problem is that the older horses can't manage the heat at all. And so you expect to lose animals. And people that are raising other kinds of poultry and ducks, geese, things like this, they're having losses too. And so it's very hard in people in agriculture. I think that we're going to continue to see more severe weather. The thing that's happened to the planet is that the krill, there's been a die-off, and the krill is like the bottom of the food chain. Everything that feeds on the krill is dying, and then things that feed on them are dying. It's a pyramid effect. They've been looking at the numbers of penguins this year in Antarctica, and the numbers are way down. The numbers of killer whales, way down. So the oceans are really toxic soup with so much plastic in them. It's incredible. And people just continue to throw trash, and it goes downstream to the ocean. And we have a tremendous amount of things in our oceans that are killing seabirds and the fish. The fish are pretty inedible at this point, especially in the Pacific Ocean. It's just not the mercury content, it's radiation from Fukushima that's come all the way across to the Pacific coast.
Wow.
It's not going to get better until we stop the pollution.
Right.
So I perceive that
the major cause of this is pollution. Is there any kind of effect from Nibiru coming in the inner system and warming up of all the planets from your perspective?
I really think that the pollution that we're seeing is part of the culprit, but global warming and the causes of global warming, it comes down to CO2 in the atmosphere, and we've polluted the atmosphere, the water, the air. I mean, we've done these things to ourselves, and now we're going to pay a price. And as we've discussed before, the U.S. government has 2 off-world colonies at this point that are pretty self-sufficient. So you have to figure that who's going to get to go? The rich, VIPs in the government. When this planet no longer supports life, the privileged few will get to go and start all over again.
And we didn't win that lotto. Well, John, you won the lotto, though. You've got a ticket, right, to go?
I and Marcia, we can go. My whole thing is that I'd rather see the environment cleaned up. There's so many things that we could do to turn it around, but the government turns a blind eye to the environment. Since Donald Trump has become president, and I want to say that I endorsed him, but for not being an environmentalist. The Clintons basically are accountable for at least 14, 15 homicides and counting. It's just ridiculous. So they don't get prosecuted.
Everybody up at the top, they all have blood on their hands in one way or another. Either you kill people directly, or you kill their environment, or you deny them medical care, and there's all kinds of ways to kill human beings and animals in this whole planet. And what I'm looking for is what kind of solutions is there any way to do this on an individual level and then a collective level, building it from the grassroots level? Because of course it seems like they just want to terraform this planet, get rid of the existing life forms. Somebody else is controlling this whole thing. It's not human. It doesn't seem to be human controlling this whole thing and allowing this to happen, because there are ways to clean this up. So yeah, you endorsed Trump. What's that about? Is he
he's the one
crazy?
that they didn't have any murders to attach to him, and the Clintons did have that, and so I didn't vote for Hillary, and I wasn't going to endorse her. She's not much of an environmentalist either. Hillary and Bill are out for Hillary and Bill, and that's her entire
Trump's
story.
out for Trump.
So they made deals with Vladimir Putin for uranium and titanium. The only really good producer of titanium in this country, which is west of Las Vegas, that mine there that you pass by on your way to Vegas, the Russians own it now.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, didn't know that.
And then the Clintons were instrumental in allowing the Russians to buy that mine just west of Las Vegas, which I just boggles my mind. So the Clintons made money wherever they could. They sold influence when Hillary was Secretary of State. I think that Obama and Hillary both belong in prison, but whether they would happen or not, because there's so many people in the U.S. Congress that are criminals, it's just incredible. And there are some long-standing criminals that are supposed to be representing the people. But the plain fact of the matter is, under Trump, they have quietly taken off global warming off government sites about the environment and things like that. They're just trying to smooth it over. The problem is, as temperatures rise and as the oceans rise, as polluted as they are, there are going to be islands in the Pacific that vanish. And that's started to happen already in the Solomons and in the Marshall Islands. And there's other islands that aren't there anymore because they're awash. If you look over in the Indian Ocean, the Seychelles, those islands are underwater now because water levels are starting to really rise. And we're seeing it. And at some point, all over the world, sea level is going to rise 40 to 60 feet. And that beachfront property you used to have may not be really beachfront property anymore.
Right. It'll be underwater.
So that's where it's all, the Greenland ice sheet, the fact that you can basically navigate the Northwest Passage with very little trouble now because there's nothing to impede a freighter from doing so. Something they always wanted to do, now you can do it easily enough. Marcia and I went to Alaska here just a few weeks ago, and we looked at glacier activity. And what I was seeing across the board was glaciers are receding significantly, and the fisheries have been impacted. Fishing is down in Alaska. So it's all what we've said all along was going to happen. You keep dumping trash in the oceans, and the oceans won't provide fisheries for you or fisheries that are edible. So the whale population, the killer whale population, dying off.
So we're coming up on the first break. Sorry, it's such a short segment, but wanted to ask you about when you went to the future. What did you see? You went to what, 2050 or something?
Yes.
And we have like 4 minutes break, but we can start this. What did you see when you went to 2050?
2050? The infrastructure, the government infrastructures. Sorry about that. Got him. But basically, governments break down when populations can't be fed. There's domestic violence. Police forces fail. National Guard fails to keep the peace in this country. And what is the outcome is that gangs become de facto governing groups. And what we saw was in 2050, the gang MS-13 controls most of the southwestern United States. They call it.
Wow.
Wow. So you'll have to tell us more. Got to turn off phones. But
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to be covering the structure.
How can a gang overcome the U.S. Marines?
Well, we're talking 2050,
2050?
and it's, we're coming up on, it's 2018, so that's a lot of time. Did you go to any time in between now and 2050? Did you see how this came to pass?
One of the biggest things is immigration from South America and Mexico. Mexico is almost a failed state now, but in the future it will be a failed state. And it will be rife with terrorist organizations looking for targets and for the drug cartels.
Okay, at this point we've got a break. I'm sorry, but we will continue this. We'll be a failed state, and it's almost there, and we'll continue what this bleak future looks like, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and you're listening to Divine Paradigm on KCOR.
You are in the Divine Paradigm with Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Some call it the height of human civilization.
Share your thoughts by calling the KCOR Digital Radio Network hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide colors whose Skype name KCOR Radio. More positive potential revealed in the exploration of the paranormal after this.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network. Broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
It's time, once again, to unravel the mysteries of the universe by connecting the dots of the higher consciousness.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Become part of the show by calling the KCOR Digital Radio Network hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide colors whose Skype name KCOR Radio. Tweet your thoughts anytime by using hashtag KCOR.
It's my favorite thing to do every day.
Escape the Matrix and join the conversation live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com. Now, back to Divine Paradigm with your enlightened hosts, Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson.
And aloha, yes, we are back. Janet, Sasha, Tina, and John Titor. What would you like to say, Sash?
Well, we're in the middle of a discussion of the rising water levels in reservoirs and oceans and increasing severe weather and the bleak picture that John has seen from 2050. That's what we were discussing. Yeah.
And then, yes, so you don't know how we get from here to there. Is there anything major that happens besides these hurricanes like that are going on now, or is there some kind of... Go ahead.
Infrastructure will break down, and I think that we're going to see it happen more and more often. The ability of government to take care of its people will be, one of the things that happens. Government will provide less and less services, and there'll be other groups that step in and say, we'll take care of you. And part of what happens in 32 years, MS-13 will control most of the southwestern United States. Forget
what is MS-13? What does that stand for? MS, what's that stand for?
It's a Mexican gang. They do drugs, prostitution, various and nefarious criminal activities, and they've pretty much gone unchecked. Occasionally, we apprehend them, we put them in jail, we deport them, and they come right back across the wall.
Okay.
Why doesn't the Special Forces just wipe them out?
Yeah, they go in and kill people in Iran and Iraq, and they use their drones and go. What's preventing them from doing that same type of action?
One of the things that you see now is that cruise lines that used to go to Cabo San Lucas and other places in Mexico, they don't go there anymore.
That's right. They said the booze was bad. It was poison.
Well, the other thing that's happened is they had land cruises for people on the cruise lines, and then the buses would be boarded, and bandits would take the cameras and wallets and jewelry and things like that. So those kinds of activities on the part of the cruise lines, Princess Cruise Line, stopped going. So did some of the others. So the other thing that is the stark reality is they find bodies without their heads and hands all along the border. The effort to stem the tide of drugs coming over the border through tunnels is not really successful. The cartels seem to be better at tunneling underneath the border and bringing drugs to the United States and protecting their distribution systems. It's pretty incredible what just happened.
Right.
But we're going to see spiraling chaos. And chaos means you'll see the ability of government lessen in the area of law enforcement, and people will be afraid to walk the streets, or they will have a gang affiliation. They'll pay protection to a gang. These kinds of activities. There are a lot of business owners in downtown Los Angeles that pay protection money just so the face of their businesses on the street don't get defaced. Mm-hmm. This is a very old business for gangs,
right?
In Los Angeles.
Mine's just Chicago in the 20s and 30s, and all those famous mafia and drug lords.
They pay
previous generation.
On the East Coast. It will be the mafia that runs the East Coast. As we come to
so does the population of the planet decline from all this stuff? Does it drastically decline?
Crime goes up, murders go up, healthcare becomes practically non-existent unless you're rich. And then so all these people start dying. They're not going to get their health care.
They're not going to be able to get even, if they have an appendicitis or, whatever, even gallbladder, whatever, they're not going to be able to get their stuff that saves them. So you're going to have a huge part of the population that would have lived had they had, medical and health care. And they're going to start dropping off.
Pandemics that we in the past controlled and cured, they'll come back. With unregulated
so if we start
immigration,
losing mass amounts of population, won't the environment have a chance to recover somewhat, because there won't be that much pollution going into it? If we reach a certain percentage of deaths on the planet, won't it start to equalize? It's kind of like nature's getting rid of the too many fleas, too many pests. So we're going to start dying off.
Archaeologists that say civilization has started over on this planet 14 times.
That's right.
Right.
I don't believe that civilization can continually reboot itself. What I foresee is that we are also dangerously close to a nuclear war with North Korea. And if we have a war with North Korea and a hydrogen bomb is detonated in the atmosphere, we'll become very close to incinerating a very large part of this planet. We can't.
Right. So aren't there species that are not going to let that happen, not necessarily to save us, but because it does affect all levels of creation and the other dimensions and zones and planets, that they are protecting themselves by not allowing these nukes to go off?
I think that there's reason to hope that extraterrestrials that we've hosted on this planet and given basically free access to our airspace and to secured spaceports around the world will step in and prevent North Korea from blackmailing the rest of the world and starting a war. Very possibly. On the other hand, they have to look at it from an economic standpoint. If the planet itself is dying, they may just say it's not worth the effort and they'll go someplace else.
So who makes that determination? Are you saying the extraterrestrials have already made that determination?
It's a possibility that we can't rely on the Anunnaki or the Tall Whites or the Greys or the reptilians to step up. We have agreements with them, but I don't see that in a world where the environment's dying that they would put that effort out, because in doing so, they will incur losses of life of their own species. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, Sasha has a question. Go ahead.
Well, Russell Brenninger and others have said, well, perhaps what's happening is that our computers that are now talking to each other in their own language that we can't decipher might just realize we've reached a singularity where the intelligence of our combined computing power is enough to take over and save humanity. What do you think of that hypothesis, John?
I don't think that AI will step up and save us either. I don't think it's artificial intelligence that perceives the issues and the problems that we can't solve with government, and it steps up and saves us all. I don't think so. I really don't. The only thing that artificial intelligence would do would be to protect itself. But see, if you look at it from the Kardashev scale, on the Kardashev scale, we are a level 0 civilization.
Right.
The Anunnaki are a level 5. You know.
Wow, they're level 5.
Yeah.
And we'll have to go for those levels sometime based on that scale. So here's the other thought, though, because this has been emerging with my various whistleblowers, that humans are very valuable in a sense that they are slave labor. They trade them. They're sex slaves. They use them to cyber guys, turn into cyborgs.
All-round slaves.
All-round slave. Good all-round slave. Bounces back pretty hardy. You can put their legs and arms and heads back on, and they get up and do some more. And then you can take them back, 20 them back, or regress them, and they do some more. I don't think that if you look at the whole galactic, solar system where this is a commodity, they wouldn't let their products, be wiped out like this. This is probably why they have us breeding like brats, and they've denying, women abortions and birth control, because they do want us to grow in population because we're very valuable. It's just like,
veal.
You want your cows to breed, and you want your chickens to breed. They want us to breed. What do you think of that hypothesis? Because that seems to be what's emerging from all this.
I don't see it. I disagree. I think that there may be superior species out there that are smarter, faster, stronger, bigger, and I just don't see it. We have to go back to the very beginnings of our species. We were created by the Anunnaki, and when we were created, mankind was created only to use 10% of his brain. Yeah. It's not like mankind does not use his full potential and never has. I would say that clones created by the U.S. government use more of their mental abilities, but I think they're still fine-tuned to be warriors and to think logistically and in terms of achieving a mission goal, but not necessarily looking in terms of betterment of a species. I don't think so. So there's a lot to consider, but I don't think that we are by any means a superior species. I just don't. I think that there are better species out there. I think that the Anunnaki are very superior to us and have a civilization on the Kardashev scale, level 5. And Michio Kaku, he's the first one to really endorse the Kardashev scale. And he says, we're a level 0. And if we don't make it to level 1 in the next 100 years, we never will. And I don't see us making it to level 1, frankly. What I see is that chaos is going to spiral out of control because governments fail to govern. And the other thing that's going to happen is that we have a sociopath in charge of a rogue state, North Korea, and they want to blackmail everybody with nuclear war. And eventually, we're going to be dropping bombs on North Korea. And North Korea says, we didn't mean it. It was all a joke. Kim Jong-un thinks it's all very funny. But if he drops a missile on Guam, the Donald is going to turn the land between South Korea and China into ocean. That's what's going to happen.
This is kind of like the same scenario as the flood is coming, when the flood of Noah, and let's just let all the humans die. So we're at the same type of point where this could be prevented by level 5 civilizations.
Yeah.
And so you're saying they don't value us. Now, I heard a theory that why they have kept us around this long is because we are the end result of a huge genetic, experiment that's been going on for millions and billions of years. And what has emerged from this combination of the many different species that come into the mixture of, human beings is the metagene. It's called the metagene. And that's kind of like the superhero gene. We can do things that are beyond, normal scale of normal humans. We're psychic, telepathic. We can lift huge weights. And so that we've explored on other things. And you seem to have more enhanced abilities as a clone. And they were doing some genetic manipulations. And we don't even know everything that you're capable of. But a lot of these quote unquote super soldiers have advanced abilities, super hearing, supervision, incredible accuracy, shooting a gun, et cetera,
mechanical minds.
Yeah, mechanical minds can jump out of a plane from extreme heights and not die and not even be injured.
One of the most interesting things that we heard from one clone, John, was that they were trained to sacrifice themselves for their buddies, and if you could get yourself killed and take out people that were going to take down your buddies, you were trained well, and that's what they and in actual fights, guys really did that. They were the ones that accepted death to save their buddies.
Right. So they were conditioning that into a group of soldiers. So I don't know, Joe. I hear you, and I think there's some hope. Go ahead.
Prospect of super soldiers in the military. I don't disagree. I agree. But they're the best we have based on our DNA. I still think that we are not a superior species. We're just not. I think the Anunnaki are by far superior and much more advanced, much more.
So are the Anunnaki able to? The story that we've tracked is that they became less fertile and they weren't able to reproduce, and so their numbers went down. And that's one of the reasons why they, joined and created Homo sapiens sapiens, is because we had hybrid vigor and we could reproduce on a greater scale.
And that's why they brought Adapa back and gave him high powers, because he's got that extra.
The thing about the Anunnaki and why they created man, it all comes back to the very early days when they were colonizing this planet, and they needed workers for the mines because the Anunnakis didn't want to do it. So they created Adamu and Adama, and that was the beginning of our species. And from everything that I've read and seen, especially from Lloyd Pye, that's spot on. That's exactly what happened. But the Anunnaki are a superior species. And I just don't think that we are anymore. I think that we are at our best. We defend home and family and try to be upstanding citizens. And at our worst, we turn into politicians or child molesters. Take your choice.
Right.
What
species do you think will take over the cosmos and be the form in which we reincarnate? If this human species is becoming obsolete, then they're going to, kind of shut down the Earth planet and open up other real estate. What do you think is the grand, scene there, the grand design there?
I don't think that there's a grand strategy. I think that mankind may survive on other worlds in this galaxy. I think that's very likely. But I think that we may die out on Earth. It could be in a blink of an eye, or it could be very slowly as the environment falls apart all around us. I just think that mankind was not good stewards of the environment, and we're about to pay the price. And I think that Hurricane Harvey is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see very extreme weather. We're going to see variations of hot and cold where we really haven't seen them before. And where we've seen very severe weather, like in the Gulf of Mexico, we'll see even more. And it will disrupt the country economically and agriculturally. Like you can't grow food in a place that, the water's contaminated. And when we're on the process of water contamination, fracking, what we've done to water in the ground with fracking. And they have capped so many wells here on the West Coast because of something called PPBs in the water. This pollution in the water, it's microscopic, but when they detect it in the wells, they shut the well down. And they capped hundreds of wells in Southern California because they're polluted. And they've capped wells because the levels of radiation in the water extremely high. When we started testing underground back in the 50s, underground nuclear testing, we did a lot of damage to water supplies. So
John, we'll have to pause right there. We'll be back in just a few minutes after this second break here, and we'll explore what you're talking about, and let's see if there's any ways of coming out of this mess, and let's put these suggestions for solutions up there. Okay, you're listening to Divine Paradigm on KCOR. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
You are in the Divine Paradigm with Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Some call it the height of human civilization.
Share your thoughts by calling the KCOR Digital Radio Network hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More positive potential revealed in the exploration of the paranormal after this.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about, at least not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Hello? I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
Now, hang on, I want to make sure I understand. So a non-citizen can go over to a hospital and walk in and get emergency treatment. That never happens here.
What happens? Jobs are created. Guess what happens? The economy grows. Then you have more people paying taxes. Do they not understand?
I don't want to hear any more about Islam. I don't want to hear one more word about Islam. Take your religion and shove it up your behind. I'm sick of you.
Fatigued by the identical mind-numbing viewpoints up and down the dial?
You fat pig who lies on his back all day, demanding that everybody else subsidize them. What do, jerk? All right.
Well, listen to the master of provocative insight, Dwight Lilly, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Whether it's local or national news, Dwight has his finger on the pulse of the nation.
So now you've got a case where Cliven Bundy, in an interview first broke in the New York Times, his comments are beyond repugnant to me. They are beyond despicable to me. They are beyond ignorant to me.
The Dwight Lilly Show, never restrained and always opinioned. Talk without the fluff.
The world is about to change forever.
Get your weekly dose of truth every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Eastern, only on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about. At least, not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Woven throughout the universe are keys to a hidden message, awaiting a voice that can decipher their coded meaning, a cosmic connection to the cosmos. Tune in to the KCOR Digital Radio Network at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection with astrologers Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard. Your weekly astrology reading is but a phone call away. So call Cosmic Connection Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and get your free reading today. Cosmic Connection with Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. It's time, once again, to unravel the mysteries of the universe by connecting the dots of the higher consciousness.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Become part of the show by calling the KCOR Digital Radio Network hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers whose Skype name KCOR Radio. Tweet your thoughts anytime by using hashtag KCOR.
It's my favorite thing to do every day.
Escape the Matrix and join the conversation live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com. Now, back to Divine Paradigm with your enlightened hosts, Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson.
We are here, Janet, Sasha, John, and Tina Marie. I just want to put on the table for this final segment, we're going to have you back, John, for sure. But okay. There are other species here on this Earth that apparently are beyond level 0, because look at the inner Earth and the other species down at the Antarctica underneath the planet. They apparently have much more advanced technologies and higher levels of civilization and ways of interacting and being. And they're part of this ecosystem. I think that they are emerging and coming out and are not going to let this whole planet perish, because they too reside here, although it's under the Earth, but they're invested into the future of this planet as well. So I just want to put that on the table. What did you want to say, Sasha? And then back to John.
Well, I'm just looking forward to to understanding more about the cloning program and how it works. Len Kasten has said that when Hitler did some of his big shows, when he just came to power, he had all these super soldiers that he'd been cloned. They were marching in perfect precision instead of the ragtag army that he got when he first came to power. And so the cloning program may have been around at least in Nazi times. So anyway, I'd like to hear about the cloning program.
Well, of course, one of the things that the Third Reich did experiment with was genetics, and Dr. Mengele was basically in charge of the program. And he was absolutely obsessed with genetics and children with blue eyes and blonde hair, and he experimented in the camps on them. A lot of what his discoveries have never been revealed to the public. I understand that his research, as macabre and horrifying as it was, did fall into Allied hands, but I don't know where it went beyond that. But yes, young, fit Nazi children were encouraged to breed with other young, fit Nazi children that fit the mold of the Aryan race. There's no doubt about it. And the minute that Hitler came to power, that's what they were all about. They were doing that. And
are they looking for the Anunnaki DNA genetic marking? Because apparently we go back to one common ancestor. Blue eyes go back to one common male ancestor, and he was in the Caucasus about 20,000 years ago. Apparently, Enki came back and had sex with another human or something. There's some further inbreeding with humanity to create the blue-eyed, and of course, everybody was so amazed with the blue eyes they wanted to breed with it, and so that's why blue-eyed people, the population grew rather than being wiped out. It was such an anomaly to them. They go, wow, we want blue-eyed children. So, and that might have been what they were looking for. But you were saying on the break that age is not even a number for the Anunnaki. They're a level 5 civilization. They can self-perpetuate their bodies for as long as they want. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
They use biomechanics and technology to perpetuate their bodies. They can grow organs, eyes, limbs, whatever they need to keep going. Their medical advancements are so much. It would be light years ahead of us. I think that's the way to describe it. I don't see that we're in the medical fields. We're still scratching the surface. We just learned the other day, the announcement was made in the media that scientists can edit DNA. And that's been around for a very, very long time. The ability to change DNA and edit DNA, I think that we were able to do that easily 50, 60 years ago, but it's just come to the public purview now that yes, we can edit DNA and take out the bad genes. This is not new.
Well, isn't that being repressed on intentionally, that we're not getting this information?
Oh, we got it. CRISPR technology has now been given to the general scientific population, and there's all kinds of legal and illegal research with what CRISPR technology does is allow very precise editing by using a virus that's been a killer bacteria and training it, and it's very, very precise, and there's experiments going on all over the globe right now.
And you're part of an experiment, so obviously this technology exists here. So are we truly a level 0 civilization, or as part of, are we just this is just a slave population and we only get the old stuff and ancient information that's not relevant anymore, while there's a part of it, the breakaway civilization, is level 2, 3, 4, or 5, at least in terms of technology? We're level 0. We've not moved to level 1 yet. Extraterrestrials have long bartered black technology for access to airspace and spaceports that were designated theirs alone, like the one we have in Nevada near Nellis Air Force Base. These things have been going on a long time. It's typically they will give you some little piece of technology and you run with it, but they get what they want in return. So I think that none of our technology would even interest extraterrestrials at a level 1. Right. So why are they coming here then? Why do they want to come into our airspace and come here? What do they get from the planet here?
Now we're to the meat of what they're really here for.
Yes.
If you look at recent discoveries made, say in Peru on the Nazca Plain. Extraterrestrials were going there. They blew off the top of a mountain and created a landing zone. And then they actually buried some of their own species there. And very recently, they got dug up. And what we saw was gray aliens and what they really looked like. And as it turns out, we were pretty close on what the general population thought they looked like. But I would say that the pictures that have been released through Gaia are astounding. Have you seen them?
I've seen them. Is that what rock looks like? Your
Basically,
friend?
yes. But there are different species of gray aliens, and Rock is very similar, but he has more fingers for some reason.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting, and I think that just as like we have different races within our species, the gray aliens had the same thing. They have different races with different physical attributes. With the reptilians, some reptilians have wings and some don't. Go figure.
Right. So why were they coming here? Why do they have this Air Force base?
We have something here.
What do they want?
Resources. They're looking for specific metals, okay, or things that they're not going to say. There's deposits of this specific mineral in the Nazca Plain, and we're there to mine it, and we've been retrieving it in quantities for a long time. So that's where they've come for something on the periodic table that they don't have back home.
And what's that? What's the mineral they're looking for?
It varies. I've heard that if you look at what was on the periodic table in 1950 and look at what's on the periodic table now, you'll get a clue.
Okay.
New stuff they found.
So a lot of it is stuff that is about powering their technology. When the Anunnaki came here, they came here for gold. They were interested in just metals, So when extraterrestrials come to this planet, that's what they're looking for, something that they don't have back on their homeworld. And extraterrestrials migrate through the galaxy, and they have the same problems managing their environment on their homeworld. And very often, their homeworlds are no longer able to support their species. So what do? Load up the spacecraft and go looking for a new home. And Stephen Hawking says that mankind has 100 years left on this planet. And I think that Stephen is optimistic. I think that we have about 32 years left on this planet. And then organized society will cease. We'll have chaos everywhere. And mankind will be dying out. The only thing that can hasten that...
They were all gone. Mankind's gone. And this planet's left, and is all life gone? Do the cockroaches take over? Do the ants do they come into do other species come into this prime real estate and take it over and start putting their beings here? I mean, it seems like there might be some use for this hull, even if we destroy all humans. And then what happens to all the humans? I guess they rot. We had a flood one time.
Your answer is as close as Mars. Mars had a nuclear holocaust, and we know that because there was an isotope on Mars that only occurs after there's been nuclear detonations. And once that isotope was discovered on Mars, then that was an aha moment. Everybody said, that's what happened to Mars. We know that there was a civilization on Mars. I believe that was an Anunnaki civilization. And
right.
War, and it got extinguished in the blink of an eye. Is there still life on Mars? Not humanoid life that is native to Mars. Mars gets visited all the time by extraterrestrial species, and they're researching the Anunnaki civilization. And we've seen many instances of extraterrestrial spacecraft from different species of extraterrestrials landing on Mars, taking off. You see it with Google Earth, and
right.
NASA. They can't airbrush it out fast enough anymore. We know it's happening. So,
well, apparently, from our whistleblowers, there are some cultures that survived underground. A lot of them are. They come up periodically. The surface appears to be. There are many hostile creatures, like huge spiders and insects that are the size of a Mack truck or bigger. Apparently, there's some reptilian dinosaur type beings that are different but similar to those on Earth. There's a whole ecology up there, but it's very dangerous and hostile. And there's even an atmosphere that you can breathe. This is what we get in our reports. And we've had a number of whistleblowers coming forth. Did you ever get a chance to visit Mars? And if so, what part of Mars were you on?
I surveyed Mars what seems ages ago. We surveyed Mars. What we discovered was there was a vast underground on Mars. There's life on Mars, but not native humanoid life. And I had discussions about Mars with Elon Musk. And I told him, you're going to go there, you're going to start a colony, you better take weapons with you.
Yeah.
If you think that you're going to be the only one there claiming the land, you're mistaken. And I was very blunt with him about it. I said, there's going to be competition for whatever resources you find there. Is there water there? I'm sure that they're going to find water. I'm sure they're going to find plant life there that is still existing. I think that it's a very hot, desolate planet. And can it be terraformed and have the atmosphere increase to the point where it could support life again? I think that it'll take 100 years to happen. I think those people that spend $100,000 for that one-way ticket to Mars are going to be very disappointed when they get there.
They're going to be disappointed. Well, have you it would be good for Elon to talk to some of these whistleblowers before he makes the major investment and decision, because there's just a lot of reports. I don't know what's true, what isn't. I'm just, the reporter here interviewing these people and getting the stories. But there seems to be some strong correlations. There are some differences. What we're identifying is, people who land at the North Pole are seeing a much different Mars than those that are at the equator. So, where have you been? Some people don't know where they were because they're being taken on these transports, and the windows are blacked out. They don't see anything until they actually get out, and sometimes they emerge underground. And if they get to the surface, they have no idea where they are. So, it's interesting that you've talked to Musk. Yeah.
I don't think that Mars is a good choice for anybody. I think that there are Earth-like exoplanets that are not inhabited by a humanoid species that are very attractive. And as I've said before, the United States has 2 colonies on Earth-like exoplanets. And not that far away. You can get there. It's just a matter of a few light years. But the bottom line is... So
are they going to let Elon, do his thing and make all these mistakes and make a fool of himself? Are they going to align with Elon and tell him about these other planets?
Who's they?
The powers that be who have these planets that are outside of our solar system or relatively close.
I think that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk will get together with somebody called Robert Bigelow, who has Bigelow Aerospace.
Right.
In Vegas. And Robert Bigelow makes these pods that basically can transport large groups of people. And this is the kind of system you need to move a segment of the population off this world. And I believe that Robert Bigelow foresaw what was needed, and he's tested it all with NASA, and he knows it works. They know it works. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk know it works. He's going to sell units to them, and people are going to be passengers in them.
Right. And what's his name? Bill Tompkins, who just died, he said that we had these transporters, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So we know they work, we know they exist, and our whistleblowers are saying they're already being utilized. So you met Elon Musk. Does he know your story?
I believe he does, yes. We've had a lot of communication back and forth. I don't always get to talk to him directly. Sometimes it's a secretary. It's just like when I used to communicate directly to Stephen Hawking a decade ago. But now it's always, I send the email and his secretary sends me the response.
Yeah.
And things change. One of the things that probably, I see, Stephen Hawking's optimism, and I am a pessimist. I think we have 32 years left. And if we wanted to turn this around, could we?
Yes.
The answer I'm still going to give is yes, but do you think that Congress, the U.S. Congress, would say, my God, we're at an environmental catastrophe and we need to clean things up? And do you think they would do it? All they have done...
It's obvious to everyone, even the Congress, but they'll have to decide if they ally themselves with humanity or with whoever this species is that's trying to terraform our planet to take over once we're gone. We have just a couple minutes. Sasha, you want to say something before we're off the air? Sorry, I took us over. We have 2 minutes to close. John, tell everybody about your books, your new book coming, your book you had, your website.
My book will be in general distribution, and you're going to get a copy, and so will Tina Marie. October 1, it will be out. I do a whole chapter on my Canadian partners, and then I do a chapter on meeting with Yahweh Elohim.
All right.
Wow.
And Yahweh is on another Anunnaki planet, but not Nibiru. So we're definitely gonna have you back for a show on that one. You're gonna be in Vegas, right, at a conference?
Yes.
When's that?
And that will be the 20th, 21st, 22nd. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll have a desk there and sell books, and autograph them. And talk to people. I like talking to people. I haven't done it for a while. And this book will probably be my last book for a while. I'm not planning to do another book in the immediate future. 4 or 5 years down the road, I may write something. It just depends. Marcia and I,
we're out of time. What's your website before we get cut off here?
www.johntitor.com.
All right. We'll tune in to go meet John in Vegas at the conference, and we didn't get the name of the 5D events. I think it's 5D events. All right. Thank you very much
Thanks,
for listening.
John.
Thank
you,
John.
Anytime.
You have to Divine Paradigm on KCOR.
In 3, 2, 1.
Until next week, we must leave the world of the divine paradigm. But always remember, you all exist on more than one plane or dimension. And there is a shift coming. A shift to universal consciousness. A shift to the divine paradigm.
Divine paradigm. Divine paradigm.
For more information on the divine paradigm, as well as the hosts, Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson, please visit their website at aquarianradio.com. Divine Paradigm, live every Tuesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Your transformational future is at hand.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.